Well, Pool A is wide open at the moment. It's the one to watch, isn't it? How impressed with Japan were you guys?
Massively. Now, you go back to 2015, the victory against South Africa, people talked about it as a bit of an anomaly, a bit of a fluke. This wasn't at all. This was a dominant performance. From minute 20 or whatever it was through to minute 80, Japan were head and shoulders above Ireland. They were dominant in physical carries, in game management, in absolutely every facet of the game. Now, we spoke on the pod, didn't we, about what is the disparity that we felt pre-World Cup between Tier 1 nations and Tier 2 nations. I couldn't see an upset coming. I couldn't see Japan beating Ireland. I couldn't see Uruguay beating Fiji. You know, I still look at the games now and I think, is there another surprise coming? And there may well be. The surprise might be that Scotland beat Japan. But you look at that game and some of the, like Jimeno at 6, he was outstanding.
The whole back row was outstanding.
Yeah, you know, Maffey goes off, you bring Leach on. Lafeli at 13, like, he's a quality player. The wingers, Matsushima and Lemeki, it was a complete performance. They look well organised. They know what they're doing. And like Jamie Joseph said, they've been preparing for that game for 18 months and understanding tactically, whereas Ireland may have, obviously in Joe Schmidt's head, he's going to be thinking about it, but they wouldn't have started preparing properly for it until they dusted off Scotland. And it was phenomenal. And, you know, again, I bow down to Jim sometimes. He has questioned Ireland and he's questioned their ability to be where they were a year ago. And they dispatched Scotland easily, but they didn't have an answer to anything that Japan were throwing at them. And I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that Sexton won't play him. The game management was shocking.
I actually thought Carty did all right.
He did, but then he gets hooked off and Joey Carberry comes on. But it's just their game management. It's understand when you've got such a dominant figure, and I generally think this is how England would go without Owen Farrell. Johnny Sexton dominates that game in terms of tactically, his knowledge and understanding of what to do, where, how, what kicks to put in, when, you know, the ebbs and flows of a emotional game in terms of energy and reading your forward pack. You know, you've always got the back saying, let's go off the top, let's run it. But you've got to understand the whole energy of a team. And Sexton does that better than, I'd say, any other player on the planet as a 10. Now, you take him out, and at times they look rudderless. Absolutely clueless at times. That's being harsh. But it was, you know, you go for the high of how they played against Scotland, dominant in every facet, to they got absolutely dominated by Japan for that last 60 minutes. And Japan, it was no fluke. It was well coached, well thought out. You know, you even go to some of the plays where the big ball carries in the centres off a scrum, short scrum, then they hit the short side trying to catch the Irish forward pack offside. The blind winger coming in short. It was just, I thought tactically they were brilliant.
They look great. And remember when Cavey come on, he mentioned about Joe Schmidt where they talk about when I think they were about to play Georgia, and he went through the team and said to the players in the meeting, who's going to be playing 10, who's going to be playing 15. He got the players to name their names and talk about what foot they were going to kick off. So Joe Schmidt does that detail, and you see in his post-match press conference, he's name-dropping all the players that played well for Japan. So he's obviously been very diligent, knowing that could potentially be a really tough game. And you, again, like Goody said, you just wonder that Scotland game was going to be massive for them. First game up, it was in the calendar. They did so well, and Japan have been waiting for that game. And as we know, because they obviously outlay how the pool goes, and the Scotland game in the final game of all the pool matches. So their biggest game would have been the Ireland game. Everyone's talking about the Scotland game, but like has been spoken about after Jamie Joseph said, the Ireland game is not that they've been targeting, but they've been preparing for that. All the other teams are talking about how fit they are, and they've been training, apart from Scotland, in warm weather conditions. They've been putting baby oil on the balls. Everything coming out of Japan is this is going to be the fittest Japanese team you've ever seen. And anyone you speak to who's been to Japan, spoke to Matt Gitto about it, Ollie Richardson coached over there as well as strength and conditioning coach. These guys will train into the sunset.